A couple of weeks ago, I interviewed the creatives behind ChewBoy Productions. During the interview, they told me about the new show they were working on. Now, the show is called Tethered, and I have just been to see it at the Lion and Unicorn Theatre. Unusually, I'm not going to tell you any more about the plot of the show than was in the press release, and I'll explain why in a moment. So, the press release says Sans, played by Hal Darling, and Moyne, played by Georgie Bailey, are getting saved after a lifetime of being tethered together. The prophetic printer has told them so, and they're very excited. Adequately excited. Kind of excited. As it's not the first time they've got the message like this, and the real question is, will it be the last? Now, the reason I've only quoted from the press release is that Tethered is a very surreal piece of theatre that has to be seen in order to be appreciated. I also think it's one of those shows which is going to generate hours of after-performance discussion in the bar as to its real meaning. So, me telling you what I thought it meant may be completely wrong, or completely right, or a mix of the two. What I will tell you is that this is a show where you can expect the unexpected. Even from the start, as I walked into the auditorium, it was obvious this was going to be different. In fact, I hesitated walking in as I thought the cast was still setting up and they weren't ready for the audience. Still, I'd walked up the stairs and I really wanted to sit down, so in I went. This was when I knew they'd started, as there was no flicker of acknowledgement that someone had come into the performing space and plonked themselves down on a seat. The two boys, identically dressed, sat at opposite ends of the stage discussing the play and listening to various bits of music to see what would fit in with the plot. As the rest of the audience arrived, they carried on prepping the show until they finally started, and we entered the world of Sans and Moynes. Or did we? Were Sans and Moynes really just Darling and Bailey, or vice versa? This is where Bailey's skill with writing the surreal really kicked in, as we realised that there was a much deeper human story within the amusing tale of two people on the length of rope. There was a palpable change in the audience as the play progressed. Initial laughter and rolling in the aisles gave way to a much more intense atmosphere as we went deeper into the world and lives of Moynes, Bailey, Sans, Darling. Now, I'm not sure who did the lights and the sound. It may have been director Lucy Betts, but everything came together to create the story and feeling of two people tied together both physically and metaphorically. And I do mean everything. Bailey and Darling have a real relationship on stage and going by my interview off stage as well. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying they're a couple or anything, but they may be, or maybe not. But they have that vibe about them of two people that know everything about each other and can react to anything the other does, or maybe even thinks, in a way that perfectly serves them and the production. It's great to see and goes a long way to explaining the well-deserved success of their production company. When the show ended and I left the theatre, I was reflecting on what I'd seen. In some respects, I could actually identify with Moynes/Bailey. If I'm giving a presentation or doing a video, I would rehearse and rehearse, tinkering with the smallest detail right up until the moment I have to stand up and do my performance. Luckily for me, I have that final fixed point, which means I have to stop. Otherwise, I would probably continue ad infinitum. The other thought that occurred was after 18 months of lockdowns, how relevant the story of two people stuck in one location was. Even the thought of the prophetic printer with its repeated messages of freedom fits in with, just have a think about some recent government announcements over the last year or so. If I was summing up Tethered, I would say that whilst on the surface it's a laugh-out-loud surreal comedy of people trapped together, it is so much deeper, with layers of nuance and thought-provoking moments which leave the audience questioning who they are, if they themselves are actually tethered in some way. I gave the show 5 stars on London Theatre 1. I hope you like this video, and if you'd like to see more, please do feel free to subscribe. Thank you very much.